Refining and improving your offers is probably the single most impactful thing that you could do right now to see growth in your business before the end of the year and really make some meaningful change to your business strategy. When I say your offers, what I'm talking about is your business model. So the selection of products and services that you sell and deliver as kind of the core of what your business actually does. Now, you might have heard me use this analogy before, but I see your offers, your business model, a bit like the engine of a car. If you think your business strategy is kind of the car as a whole, the engine of that car is the offers that you sell. They are fundamental to where that car can go, at what speed, and for how long. The engine is directly linked to the outcome, and therefore it's going to be the area that you can see the most change if you make tweaks within. The other elements of the car, if you're curious, that I see would be that, the gas is like the marketing. It's like the fuel that you put in that then helps that engine to actually run and, the offers to actually be sold. And your systems and processes, that's like, the MOTs, the services, the kind of nuts and bolts in there that also really help to keep it working well, working efficiently, etc. Now we're going to focus in here on that engine of the car, which is, as I said, your offers. Now, there can be a tendency, I think, when we are talking about our business model to just talk about very individual pieces of it. Like people just talk about, should you have a course? Should you sell one-to-one? Should you have this? Should you have that? And like those individual conversations are obviously relevant. But really what I think we could do more of is stepping back and looking at your offer ecosystem. I know that's how I've heard people refer to it before, or just your business model as a whole, and to do a bit of an audit. I love an audit. In fact, I feel like kind of my whole business is helping people audit things and then working out what needs to change. And when I work with people to do an offer audit, when we look at all of their products and services, audit it, and then make some meaningful actions, all of the time, what I see is that there is real obvious growth in their business as a result of that. Because it's the engine of the car, because it's the thing that makes such a difference, if you make meaningful tweaks, and I say meaningful really intentionally there, I think we can sometimes get a bit happy clappy when it comes to action in our business model, and we just dramatically change things and take things away and add things in and just kind of, be a bit chaotic about it. That kind of action maybe isn't going to create growth, but intentional action that comes from a place of an audit, that comes from a place of actually really understanding what's currently working and what's not, is really going to be where you see growth. So what I'm going to talk you through in this episode is a bit of an offer audit and 4 questions that you can ask yourself in order to kind of better understand your current business model and therefore what changes you might want to make. Before we do that, I want to give some context as well on some of the key mistakes that I see people making when it comes to their business models and their offers. These are mistakes that I've definitely made myself. They're ones that I see my clients making continually, and they're very easy to make. So if I call you out here, it's done with love and compassion. And hey, understanding the mistake that you're making is the first step to creating positive change. So the first mistake that I see people making with their offers is they create a one-way door. What I mean by this is that we as business owners can get very used to saying yes and very good at flexing the muscle of developing new things. Right? We have an idea, we bring it to life. Someone asks us to do something, we create it. There's this real, I think, comfort zone for us of saying yes and adding new things in. If you think about your business model maybe a little bit like a room in a house, there's a door on that that's one way. Everyone can come in, everyone can join, and there's obviously positives there. Often it's adding offers in intentionally that does help create growth. However, a lot of people, if they're not careful, create a one-way door on that room, on that business model, where lots of things are coming in, but there's rarely an opportunity or an invitation to think about what might want to leave. And what happens when we do that, when we don't allow things to retire or to leave the room, is that room becomes very crowded. Right? And a crowded business model is not a good business model. If your business model is overcrowded, number one, it's going to feel really overwhelming for you. Number two, it's going to feel really overwhelming for other people. Customers, clients aren't going to be able to navigate your offers easily if it feels like there's too many and it doesn't make sense to them why they're all there. So number three, your business model is not going to be aligned with your current goals. If you've got old, stagnant, stale offers in the mix, which were created when you had a different vision, it's unlikely that the business model you've got is going to help you to get where you now want to go. It's like if you put a new destination into the sat nav, you'd need to change a few things about the car in order to make sure that you can get there. And so keeping your business model fresh and relevant to your goals is really important. And we don't just keep something relevant by adding, we also need to think about what we take away. So that's the first mistake that I see people making with business models. The second mistake I then want to bring up, which I think is a really, really easy one because we get excited and we want to say yes to lots of things, is that we have multiple offers, but it's really unclear what makes them different. I kind of call this 5 solutions for one problem, where we've just come up with a load of different ways in order to meet the same need. Now, there are instances where this is relevant, right? If they're really clearly different in terms of format or who it is that's facing that problem or how that solution is delivered, like it can make sense. I'm not saying that you can only ever help one problem with one offer. However, sometimes we're so far in that kind of ideation space where we just like coming up with new ways to help people that we create these business models that to us, it's obvious. It's like, well, yeah, there's all these things and this is what makes them different. But to a consumer, it just feels unclear. Good rule of thumb, and I know it's generalizing, but it's generally true, is that if you give people too many options, they don't take any action. Someone might want to work with you, someone might want to buy from you, but if it's not clear to them exactly which thing is right for them, that overwhelm and that kind of decision fatigue is usually just going to make them step away. Some people will lean in and go, can you tell me and can you help me? But usually if it's not clear to them, they're not going to buy, they're not going to take action. I've seen that firsthand when I've offered people lots of solutions, like you could do this if you want that, but if you prefer that, you can do that. And I'm not really clear on what makes them different. The person isn't clear either. So we've got to make sure that we have that real differentiation of why everything in our business model exists and that everything feels unique. Not unique of like completely different, but unique in the sense that we could clearly communicate this is why this is different to this and why that is different to that. If I were to say to you, hey, why should I pick that offer over that offer that you have? You need to be able to explain to me what makes those different. And if you can't, it might be that we're making this mistake. And the final mistake I'll share before we get into the audit is that we have offers and they might be working for our community, i.e. they are helping people are buying them, they're kind of working, quote unquote, in terms of having an impact, but they're not actually working for the business's goals. As I've said already, your business model is going to be what the biggest decider in the results your business creates. You know, when we think about the why behind your business, what you want it to do for you, the results you want to create, the impact that you want to have, like your offers is the biggest thing that's really going to lead to that being achieved or not. And a lot of the time what I see people doing is they create offers just from a place of like, well, other people want it. And I know this will help people and I know it's good. And of course that's important, right? We've got to make things that other people want and need and will pay for. But we've also got to think, and what makes sense for the business? Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. To give an example, if your big goal in business right now is scalability, coming up with a new idea of a one-to-one or done-for-you offer potentially isn't going to actually make sense. It could make you money. It could be received quote unquote well and be successful externally, but it's not aligned with your business's goals, in which case, why is it existing? And is it where we want to be putting our time and energy? So that's the third and final mistake I want to share that I see people making, is that the business model looks like it's working, but it's working for others and it's not actually aligned with the business's goals. So with those mistakes in mind, how do we avoid them? Well, we do offer audits. We spend time regularly, and when I say regularly, I'd probably say every kind of 3 to 6 months, stepping back and asking some really intentional questions. I'm going to share with you here 4 questions that I think can really help you to understand how your business model is performing and what action you might want to take because of that. Starting off with question number 1, which is which offer has made the most income this year and which has made the least? With each of these questions, there's going to be 2 answers to each, which is doing the best in this area and which is performing the worst. And I want to say, by the way, we're always coming at these kind of questions with curiosity. We're not here to beat ourselves up or decide that we've failed. We're just getting clarity, right? Where there's information, there is opportunity to improve. So get curious, try to just be kind to yourself as you're realizing these things. This is the first area we want to think about. In terms of income, or you could think about profit if you know that for you, revenue and profit are very different numbers. Maybe your profit margins can be quite low. You might find it more helpful to think about profit here. Which offers have made the most income? which offers have made the least. It's fascinating to me how few people actually know this off the top of their heads. And I don't mean off the top of your heads, like literally in your head, but like how many people are tracking this? A lot of the time in business, we track the overall numbers. So you might be aware that you've made X amount this year so far, but do you know the breakdown of that? Do you know which income streams and which offers that came from? If no, here's your invitation to work that out. So do some quick calculations. Which have made the most, which have made the least. Already that's going to illuminate for you where the traction is, financially which are performing best and worst for the business, and maybe there's some initial information you gather there. The second question then we want to ask ourselves is which offers feel the easiest to sell and which feels the hardest to sell? This is an area that I don't think gets considered enough when it comes to our business models. We think a lot about like, does it, have good profit margins and do we enjoy it? And like, does it have a great impact? And like all of those things can be ticked. But if the offer itself is really hard to sell, none of those other things are necessarily actually that helpful. You can have the most profitable, impactful, fulfilling offer, but if it's really hard to sell, those benefits might not ever even become true because it's so difficult to sell. So if you were to look at your offers, which one is the easiest to sell? I.e., if I were to say to you, okay, go and sell one of those tomorrow, which do you know that, people really like it? They have a clear want for it. People resonate with it. And then also the opposite of that. Which offers are you dreading selling? Which ones do you find really hard to describe? Which ones require a real sales pitch? It doesn't mean that you stop selling it just because it's harder to sell, but it's helpful clarity for us to have of like, right, where's the ease and where is the friction when it comes to selling? So that's the second question to ask. The third question then, and then we've got only one more after this, is which offers best align with your vision and current goals? And of course, you can then work out the opposite of that as well. This links back to that third mistake that I talked about, where we have offers that have a good impact and people want them and they buy them, but they're not necessarily actually aligned with your specific business goals. So the question I would ask you here is what is most important to you right now in your business? And before you give me a list of like, I want everything, really think intentionally, right? Where are you going? Are you trying to build a business model that feels really stable and that has a lot of security in it? Are you right now really aiming for scalability and being able to drive your revenue up without working more? Are you aiming for diversification and you really want to feel that you have, multiple income streams that gives you that sense of kind of working with lots of different people and having that security as well? Right now, are you working on your reputation? You want to really build your expertise and your, how you're known in a certain industry. I know that all of those things are important to us all the time, but there'll be one or two that I've said there that you go, oh yeah, that's really important to me at the moment. That's what I'm aiming for. For you right now, is it all about profit or is it all about kind of lifestyle and actually having a better work-life balance in your business? Like, what are you aiming for? And then which of your offers are aligning with that? If you tell me that you're aiming for scalability, but all your offers are one-to-one or done for you, there's some clarity. Or if you're aiming for offers that really bring in high profit, but you've got a lot of products in there that are maybe lower profit margins, or you have to sell a lot of to get profit from, that's interesting. Again, it's not about being harsh on ourselves. It's just about gathering this information that helps us to know what meaningful action could look like. So based on your vision and goals, which offers actually align with that? And usually here it's about format. Format will change what an offer brings to your business model. So what does that tell you? And then the fourth and final question to ask of your business model is which offers do you enjoy the most and which offers do you enjoy the least? I think this is really important because if you don't enjoy something, you're going to be really reluctant to sell it. And even if you do sell it, you're probably going to be really reluctant to deliver it. And you're probably not going to necessarily bring your best. I'm not saying that just because you don't enjoy something, you're going to be rubbish at it. I'm sure you still bring a really high level of excellence to that. But we get to control our business models. And why not decide to have a business model that really aligns with you? To do things every single day that you enjoy, that you're excited about. I think we all know a gut answer here, right? When I say, like, what's the thing in your diary that you dread? Or what's the offer that someone buys it and you're like, oh, damn it, I have to deliver or sell that thing now. What would it be? Doesn't mean that we sack it off instantly, but it's helpful clarity, right? To understand which we're enjoying the most, which feel most fulfilling personally, and maybe which don't feel so fulfilling, or which maybe just require a little bit more from us in order to deliver. So those are the 4 areas that you want to audit your business model in. So we're thinking about number 1, income. Number 2, how easy they are to sell. Number 3, which align with our vision. And number 4, which we enjoy the most. Even just by answering those 4 questions, you will naturally see some clarity come to the surface, and maybe just whispers of ideas of, oh, maybe I could get rid of that. Maybe I could change that. Maybe I could do more of that. But what you want to start thinking about once you've done that audit is, first of all, which of these factors are most important. Maybe you're in a season right now where it's all about income. And so you want to really listen to your answers in that area and focus on the things that were higher income. Or maybe right now for you, it's all about your business model aligning with your vision, and you need to really listen to the answer that you wrote down there. Which of these factors are most important to you? And then what action steps come to mind that feel like meaningful change in that area? Try to resist wanting to change everything overnight. Sometimes we do an audit and it makes our brain just go a little bit wild, and we're like, I must change all of this right now, and it's super urgent. Before you did this audit, these things weren't urgent. So take a chill and really think about, 1, 2, maybe 3 action steps that you could take over the coming weeks, which would feel like meaningful change. You might notice as well in your audit that there's consistent high or low rankings for every answer. It's really interesting when you look at these answers as a whole and go, oh my gosh, the same thing is the least income, the hardest to sell, not aligned with my goals, and I don't enjoy it. Okay, if that is the case, I'm just going to tell you that is a permission slip and a very easy decision there to get rid of that thing. Or maybe you'll have the opposite. You'll see something that is high income, easy to sell, aligned with your vision, enjoyable for you. Friend, let me just tell you, that is a green flag of how can we go more in that direction? How can we create other versions of this offer? How can we learn from that and create an offer that's similar, right? It's all about getting the information that you need to work out the changes that you want to make to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So my question to you after you do this audit is, what does meaningful change look like? Are there offers that you can eliminate? Are there offers that you want to focus on more? And are there some offers that maybe you've come up with as ideas, or that you could validate by asking these 4 questions of them? When you're thinking of a new idea, good rule of thumb, ask yourself these 4 questions. How will it perform in terms of income? How will it be to sell? Does it align with my vision? And do I think I'm going to enjoy it? No more just bringing things to life for the sake of it. I want you to be really intentional. Remember that your business model is the singular biggest thing that will impact whether you achieve your goals or not. And think really intentionally about what you say yes to, but also what you might want to say no to, or retire, or change. Let's not have a one-way door, and let's build a business model that actually aligns with our vision.